been better with posts about that, but stories
Okay.
too.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna record just this snippet so that you people who are catching this recording can kind of have a preface for what we're going to be talking about on Tuesday's team call. So when we're talking about growing our teams and we're talking about finding new customers and we're talking about new ambassadors, all of that comes from how we present ourselves, right? How we show up on social media and who we are attracting. Okay. So this was a huge wake up call for me. I had a couple of um I had a couple of really tough mentorship calls. Me with Jamie. Hi, honey. Me with Jamie. Me with Jamie, and then me with Steve, and then me with corporate. And it was eye-opening with the amount of stuff that I needed to change as a leader. So like the issue was not that I was not a good leader for my team. Of course, I'm a dedicated leader, but it's how I'm showing up on social media, right? So, like, if you've noticed for the last week, I made a drastic change in the type of content I was sharing, and I was no longer showing up in my robe. So, if I'm plugging into work and I'm showing myself on social media, plugging into work, I am getting out of my sweatpants, I am dressing up, and I am curling my hair. And the reason is because I'm not going to attract the type of business leader that is going to want to be a director or a leader by showing up and recruiting for that in my sweatpants. And that's just the reality of it. And like even Ange, for you, like I know that you are in the gym working, most of the time. And there's going to be times when it's going to be like, okay, well, I'm going to have to take my hair out. I'm going to have to throw a little makeup on or whatever it is. And I'm going to have to go put on a nice shirt. And I'm going to do my live and I'm going to create content and I'm just going to keep swapping out my shirts and I'm going to keep making new content and just do a bunch of new outfit changes. And I'm going to have all this content planned where I'm showing up as a business leader. Like, and it's the same for me. Like I had to like take a day where I would have worked in my sweatpants all day. I showered, I did my hair, I put a dress on, I did a couple reels at my kitchen table. I went outside, I had Derek take a couple pictures of me. I then I threw on a blazer and I made another content. So it was like a different outfit. And um in 1 week I've watched my numbers rise on social media. 1 week. And um there is also a difference in how we share on social media that is impactful. And so, especially those of us who came from body, we were told, talk about the products in your stories, right? And yes, we want to talk about the products in our stories, but even if we're not like just throwing up graphics and things like that, and we're let's say I'm standing at my kitchen counter and every single day I'm talking about my Energize and my Good Gut and Go and my electrolytes or my shakes or whatever. That's still social selling. It's still social selling, and eventually nobody's going to care. So and this is a huge learning curve for me. It's not about having a million stories up, it's providing value. And so for me, one thing that I have really been feeling called or kind of pulled to do is not move away from the recovery community, but I'm feeling um, a little bit of a shift for myself. And what I mean by that is like I built my social media originally on my recovery and my story. But I don't know that in this season of life that since I have pivoted and I have stepped into a leadership role and I have bigger plans for my life and my future, if my next massive business leader is in the recovery community. So I have to start branching out And it's not about losing that part of my story. It's about embracing it as a piece of me and not all of me. And really moving more towards like pregnancy or postpartum in this season of life that I'm in, because this is where I feel more connected. And I think like even when I was feeling that way at the end of Body or at the beginning of like taking on this business, and I would say that, and people would be like, no, but that's who you are. And it's like, well, it's not who I am. It's a part of my story. Like I'm much more than just that, you know? And so, finally kind of like allowing myself permission to embrace that feeling of like the shift and, and running with it. So, like, if your social media is not what you want it to be, it's just a decision. It's not a like, oh, who are they dressing up and getting on, you know, and showing up as like they think they're a business leader. Well, you're dressing and you're posting for the person that you want, not for the person that you are or have already on your team. So, like, even today I debated putting on this like sweatshirt over my black shirt, but I was actually just freezing. But the one thing I was not going to do was grab my robe, right? And so when it comes to social selling, there are a couple of tips that I want to give you guys. And I'll go over this again on team call as well. But some things that have helped me in the last week elevate my social media and my stories. So the first one is get creative with ChatGPT in terms of teaching somebody something. And that doesn't just mean learning how to talk about the science. Like sometimes like I've talked about it enough times. Like I know the skincare, I know the leucine and the protein, I know how it works, I know the benefits, right? And then something like vitamin C comes out and I have to like practice saying to myself like, okay, vitamin C, you know, prohibits melanin production, that blocks the enzymes, that creates dark spots, and say it over and over and over and over again, right? To like learn the line. But that isn't really providing value. That's just science. That's social selling. That's social sharing. So, to take it a step further, asking ChatGPT, what are 5 pain points that somebody might use vitamin C for? I want this message to reach the pregnancy community or the postpartum community. And then it's like, this is pregnancy safe because this, or this helps because in pregnancy, your hormones create more dark spots. It's called pregnancy melasma. And like educating about something that isn't salesy, right? So, the best thing that you can do is plan your social media stories. So you should be in your social media, you should be talking, you should be sharing, right? So instead of just being like, this is the science, plan out what hot tip are you dropping when you're talking in this story set. So if you're going to have 3 slides or 4 slides or whatever, and you're talking at your camera, people better know that you're about to drop a hot tip that they want to hear, right? And so you'll see in my social media a recent change of like, let's talk postpartum depression. I'll put it right at the top and they won't know what I'm going to say, but I'm going to drop a top, like a hot tip, something that I've learned. So like, for example, I did, like I was highlighting our omega 3s. And so instead of just highlighting why they're good for the brain health, the baby's brain, my eye health, the baby's eyes, right? I talked about how, like, did you know that there's a correlation between taking omega 3s in pregnancy and in postpartum and a reduced risk of postpartum depression? So I educated myself about that. And then I took it a step farther and I made a reel about it, right? And so I didn't talk about buy this product, buy this product, buy this product. I talked about why I'm taking this product and a tip that most people didn't know. And then I put a poll. Did you know this about omega 3s and postpartum depression? And a lot of people like, no, I didn't know. No, I didn't know. Yes, I knew. No, I didn't know. Right. And so it's not, would you benefit from eye health and brain health? Yes or no, right? It's something completely different. And that's how we shift away from social selling, right? So another example is Like, stop throwing your links in your stories. Like, let's get away from that. If you're going to be highlighting a hot tip on a product or a hot tip, like, consider a hot tip something they can do without having to buy anything from you. Okay. So, for example, one story I saw from Jamie was like how to reduce your cortisol. And she was highlighting the stress relief complex, right? And the gummies. We're lowering cortisol, which is our body's natural stress hormone. How are we getting those levels down? She took it a step further and said, let's talk alcohol on Memorial Day weekend. Then she talked about how she was on the walking pad. And so, yes, she was talking about these supplements, but she gave a hot tip that people could do from the boat. Drink water first, bring veggies, try eating protein long before you're consuming alcohol, and fill up that way before you spike your blood sugar on empty alcoholic calories, right? That kind of a thing. It's something that they could do without having to buy those supplements from her. So she highlighted them, but the value comes from giving people tools that they can use immediately. Does that make sense? So when you're thinking about what am I going to talk about in stories today, you can say like, ChatGPT, help me create a story about Shackley's youth skincare line and give me a couple of different ideas on how people can um, apply toner. Like something so simple. Like, should people be using exfoliating pads or is it better for people to use washable pads? And where could they get the washable pads if they're trying to save money? And so, yes, you're talking about the toner, but you're giving them value in case they use a different kind of toner. And like, you're teaching the order of how, like, rule of thumb, by the way, if you're doing skincare, do the cleanser, do the toner, and you want your lotions to come last. So if you have serums and other things, those should be no matter what skincare line you're using. Like that's a tip that people might not know. Like Amber's really good at sharing about hair stuff. And I'm like, talk more about your dry shampoo and when to use it and how to put it in. Because I just don't know anything about dry shampoo. Like that's not my forte. So like sharing value that somebody who is using dry shampoo and not a Shakti customer could get from that. So it's always a top tip that provides value for something they can do without buying anything. Now, to get to a point where we are consistently earning the trust of the people that are watching us and getting to a point where, Rocco, sit, getting to a point where it's like people know that the value is coming, we have to be more planful about our stories every single day. So that means like before we go in our stories, we're coming up with one or two tips or education pieces or highlights that we're going to be dropping that day. And we know what they are and they're planned out. So we have to start being more planful. And I'm so guilty of this. I have to stop just propping my phone up and being like, I'm just going to talk at people. It doesn't move the needle forward. It doesn't help our sales. It doesn't help build trust. It does not help recruit the next business leader. And every single person on this call and many people on our team are in a place right now where they are trying to grow their teams. They have stepped into a leadership role and now they're trying to maintain it, which means we can't keep doing what we've done to get there. We have to start doing different in order to maintain it, right? And I'll dive much more into that on our team call on Tuesday, but um, it's definitely a learning curve. It's definitely a learning curve. Another top social media tip is like if you're making a reel, um, like making sure that your cover photo is something that is like a photo of you. you know, something that you're not like in motion for and it's like frozen on your face. Like you can change it and you can even go back to your cover reels and change those as well. Like after they've already been posted, you can even change them. So if you have like a couple nice photos you can throw up, you could do that. Um, any questions about that?
No, it's definitely a learning curve, that's for sure. But that
For sure.
is, and I know like my weakness is social media. And I totally own that and I know that. And I really have been trying really, really hard in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks to do better. But for me, it's the confidence level and not having value in myself. And I know that I've talked to Cass and Marissa about it, and you know, Ange, I've been plus size my entire life, and I've been on this journey for a year and a half, and using the different Shaklee products, like the protein smoothies. I don't have bagel, I don't have bread anymore. So for me, like, and I love sugar. I'm a sugar addict. It's
Me
horrible.
too.
And I was drinking, and no joke, 6 Diet Cokes a day over a year ago. I was popping those at 5 o'clock in the morning when I was working. And I just did a simple swap. Like, just did, now I do my mocktail, and I do have 2 of them a day. I have my dribble boost and all that stuff 2 times a day. And then I switched to my grapefruit sustained energy. And it was just a simple swap. And it was just, so I want to be able to tell people my simple swaps, because I have friends out there that I know that are watching my story. They're like, holy shit, Kitty, you've lost 55 pounds. Like, you've done really, really, really well. Like, and I have value to why I've done that and why I've accomplished it. But I just need to believe in myself and have confidence to be able to share that. And it's so hard. And I know that's such a weakness for me. And I'm trying to get better. And the little pep talk from you and Marissa are super helpful.
Can I
Do
say
you,
something?
oh, but do you know
As
how
a
relatable
trainer,
that is?
that's what I was
Yeah.
just gonna say. As a trainer, like I deal with more women that are plus size than I do, obviously, as a whether being a trainer, than I do, you know, women like training for marathons. And
Yeah.
I think the first thing before even like training somebody that I always say is like confidence will be your killer, even in training. Um, you got to kind of look at it like you wouldn't let it stop you from like help it. It's hard to explain, but like people with kids, like you're not going to let your confidence stop you from going and showing up and cheering as loud as you can at a football game. So why are you going to let it stop you from showing up for yourself in a workout?
Yeah.
Um, because I'll have girls that are just uncomfortable, period, men and women, to even be there working out with me. Because there's other people around, and I'm like, so we'll start in like the back room where it's private. But I like tell them, I'm like, eventually we're gonna move to the gym. It's scary, but we're gonna do it, and it's gonna help your confidence a lot. And it's like crazy to see from where they're freaked out to like 2 weeks later to like where they're like, I don't care who's watching me. But it's kind of like that with social media, because like I was sharing on social media already before I started all this, but I wasn't sharing the right way, obviously. I was just on there like about to work out, about to da 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 da.
Yeah.
So I really had no experience either with like connecting on social media. And I realized even myself, like how low confidence I had when I started having to like really share about it. Um, but I think it was Cassie or one of you guys, Amanda, Amber, once like they told me like it's okay to not, because I was dealing with anxiety and stuff. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to like tell people that. Um, you will see such an outpour of love from people. It's insane. Like once you start sharing that story, you are gonna have haters. Of course, everybody has haters, but um I feel like just the more genuine, I know it's hard, but not even showing up with necessarily like if you don't got the confidence, like show up raw and real and be like, this is hard for me. This is where I'm at. This these products are why I'm here because it's giving me that confidence back. I don't know, Cass, you could word it differently, but I
Yeah,
think
I
you get
actually
what
have a
I'm
little
saying.
bit of a different opinion than
Okay.
where you're coming from.
Mhm.
I don't know. It just
So
helped me just doing it
I
and pulling the trigger, but I know it's easier said than done. Um,
so I think you guys might be talking about two different things a little
oh.
bit.
It made me feel better, so I appreciate it.
I'm just saying it was hard for me too, I'm saying, and I'm somebody
Yeah, and
clearly as a trainer, and I'm like,
confidence in this business and sharing on social media across the board is something we all experience. I experienced it when sharing my recovery story. I experienced it this week when I was trying to shift my appearance. It's uncomfortable, right? And so the only way to get through that discomfort, right, is to do it more often.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
what I'm hearing you say is that how do you share the value of your journey on
Mhm.
social media
Mhm.
when your confidence level was already low? And here's what I'm
Yeah.
going to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Your journey, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say, your journey is probably the most relatable to everyday people.
That's what I
Okay?
was trying to say too. See, I knew Cassie understood. Like I always say too much when it can be
It's
shortened. So
okay. Just let me go. Let me go.
yeah.
Okay. So you're relatable, and that's your value. And I think you could use simple swaps, like even creating like this what simple swaps with Katie as like your like Instagram like branding, because that is the season of life that you're in.
Mhm.
And you could say to ChatGPT, what okay, you could say, ChatGPT, I have done simple swaps to help me launch my weight loss journey. And I've done it without being able to work out due to an injury.
Mhm.
So I want to find a marketing plan on social media by sharing 10 different real ideas for these simple swaps. Here are some that I've made. I've swapped out my Diet Coke. I no longer eat bread. Or like I've even seen like Kim Farr, who I don't know if you've met her yet, but she started making her own bread out of egg whites. And so she would like make these like sandwiches with like this fluffy bread that was actually
Mhm.
protein. And um that's a really cool idea. And so you can ask like how like these are the simple swaps that I've made. Can you give me 10 different real ideas that go along with this? So when you're on social media and you're kind of like scrolling and you see all these like trends and people doing like the like for example, like you know the one that's like people are like da, 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 and it's like the words and it's like the four
Mhm.
times you've seen that,
Mhm.
right? Um you could make that yourself like by being like um one change I lost 50, one change I lost 50, one change I lost 50, like something like that.
Mhm.
And then it's like you lost 50 and then it's like and then you have at the top how I lost 55 pounds by making simple swaps and not working out or something like that.
Mhm.
People are going to be reading.
Yeah.
And so that's where you have ChatGPT come in and help you. Like, okay, what is a simple swap? And she lost 55 pounds. And you can, and it, that one could be clean supplements. And then the next one could be a post about how you've chosen to take on a weight loss journey without murdering yourself, restricting yourself, dieting,
Mhm.
taking on the toxic diet culture. And so here are three simple swaps that you've made. You've taken out Diet Coke. You've tried a new whatever.
Yep.
You know, all of these things. And you can like literally create an entire marketing plan around that and enter Shackley. Enter Shackley, right? And you can, it doesn't matter if you started to lose weight before this company.
Mhm.
This is how you're continuing your journey because once you know better, you do better,
Mhm.
right? And so you can even say, like another swap that I made was I stopped buying vitamins at the convenience store and I started buying vitamins through a
Mhm.
non-toxic company. Or you could say something like, one way, like you could say like, and I don't know if this is true for you, I'm just making this up, but you could say like, I realized that part of my struggles with a weight loss journey was balancing my hormones. So these are three simple environmental swaps that I made in my home to help me balance my hormones.
Mhm.
And then you could be like, I now use clean laundry detergent. I use a different dishwasher soap, and I use a non-toxic body lotion.
Yep.
And tying all of these different products to weight loss because of like the endocrine disruptors and all of the different things that are in the environment that, whatever, or how I reduced my inflammation while on a weight loss journey after sustaining an injury. Enter Vivix, right? And so just like taking your real and raw, and like when people say like show up in the real and raw and show the hard, I used to say that all the time. I used to say show up, show the hard, and now I actually have a different opinion about it. Don't show up a hot mess express on social media. Show up once you've found the solution
Mhm.
and circle back and say, I'm not going to lie to you. I've been struggling the past 3 days with lack of confidence, a little bit of depression, and feeling bad about myself because I hurt my ankle and it is messing with my mindset. Here's what I did to pull myself out of it. Enter value. I started listening to this podcast. It's free. I'll link it here for you. Okay. I leaned into my team because there was a lot of support. Comment info if you want to know about that. And I started taking a mood booster that's natural and clean.
Mhm.
And by increasing my vitamin B or whatever, I have increased my mood without having to take pharmaceutical whatever. Okay. So now you are showing the real and raw, but you're not showing up, oh my God, I'm having the hardest day because I'm so stressed out and depressed. It's like you show up once you found the solution
Mhm.
and you circle back like, yeah, I was struggling with this. Here are 3 things that I found that helped me. So you take the struggle, instead of showing up Hot Mess Express in the middle of it, you show up with a solution. This is what I was struggling with, and this is actually how I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel now. It's not perfect, but these are the 3 things I'm going to focus on this week, and I think I'll be moving still in the right direction. Right? So I have learned a lot about social media in the last couple months. And I did a huge social media training, um, quite honestly, for the team when we first started Shackley. And I think I need to redo it because I
Mhm.
think things are different now. And I think that my opinions have changed about what it, and not only have my opinions changed, but the facts have changed. What worked in Beachbody isn't going to work here. This isn't Beachbody. And like that is like where I'm also seeing some mental blockers with some of even our leaders on our team because it's like we're not here to show our workouts, our energize and our shakes anymore. We
Mhm.
are here to show wellness beyond that. And I don't care if you show up and you show a workout in your story. That doesn't have anything to do with Shackley, right? But we were so trained to show our workout every single day because that's what body was, right? And so now we have to find new value, and that's a hard thing to do. But everybody here has the things that they're really, really good at. And oh,
Let me.
oh my
Hi,
goodness.
Harlem.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Everybody here has things that they're really good at and things that they specialize in. And okay, go with that.
Mhm. Oh my God, she's so cute. I just squish your face.
Go with Dada. Anyways, everybody here has different ways that they can provide value in this new era. And so that is what we're going to be covering on Tuesday is how do we step out of what we've been doing and into something new so that we can elevate. So for the last 5 minutes, I do want to pick your brains really quickly about a marketing plan for June. Okay?
Yes, and I think you just like totally sparked my because this is what I've been wanting to do. This is what I've been wanting to do. An average Joe like me who struggled, my sister's on the same thing. We've always been heavier. We've always, and it's not poor education. It's my parents just didn't know better to do better. And that's why I'm here is because I want to show the average person that struggles with weight, which is 90% of my friends, what they can do. And that's why I'm here, is to show people that it's simple stuff and simple swaps that you can do. And look, this company has made it uber easy. And, it's just simple things. So I need to market myself as such.
So here's what I'm going to say also. Yes, and you're right. We need a good, solid marketing plan, and I plan to have one created by Tuesday for team call because we have convention. A lot of us are in qualifications. And so, one thing I know for sure that we're doing, so Melanie's not doing an extravaganza. When I say a marketing plan, we need something with a deadline that moves numbers and makes sales. Okay. So I know Melanie's not doing an extravaganza, but Jamie has decided to do a webinar. And I am going to put on an extravaganza for our team that aligns with that webinar. And so here is what is going to happen. And I don't actually know the dates yet. I'm hoping to get that information today. What we're doing, and you can attest to this, is the people who don't do the extravaganza and do the calls on their own, they're not making sales. The people who are doing the extravaganzas all together as a group, they're banking out. Their numbers are rising, they're making sales, their teams are growing, they're helping new people, right? And so that's where like we just have to we have to put on one hell of a call. And it won't be as crazy because we don't have the point system, we don't have the forums, we don't have the luxury prizes. It will only be our cash raffles and it will be so much easier. And so what I would like to do is to blow that extravaganza out of the water. So whenever you guys get your checks, put $20 aside for that. Okay. Just put $20 aside so that you can participate and plan to start recruiting for this 3 or 4 days prior. Okay. Even sometimes 48 hours prior. People can't commit to free webinar calls until like the day of. So most of my invites get sent the day of the call or the day before. Okay. So it's not something that we want to take the whole month and just invite to, because that doesn't move our sales. The night of the call moves our sales. Okay. Another thing that I'm thinking, because the reset group was actually, we got a lot of interest in it. And then we had a lot of interest in people who pulled the plug and a lot of interest in people who weren't just quite ready yet. So what I'm thinking, and I would like to align this with my postpartum journey, is doing another reset starting July 7th. So this one we marketed as post Memorial Day reset. The next one we market as post 4th of July is my idea. So anyone who wasn't ready, because we had a shitload of carts out for the reset that didn't get purchased, we circle back. Hey, I know this timing wasn't good for you. We're going to do this again after the 4th of July. How does that feel for you? Then they have all of June to make their purchase. And to think about it, and so last month, a learning curve for me was, I was like, I don't know about a marketing plan where we recruit all month long because there's no deadline mid-month and that doesn't help sales. What I actually found was that people were ready at different parts in the month, and it was very lucrative to give people more time. So for all of May, we recruited for this June reset. For all of June, we recruit for this July reset. I would also like to throw in some type of like, I don't know, anti-inflammation, skincare, something. And I don't have that part figured out yet. More mid-month. So something that is like Vivix or something that is like $50 buy-in gets you into this group, right? But when we're talking numbers and everybody has big numbers goals, we need to keep higher ticket items at the forefront, like the reset. For every reset, it's 105 PV. So that moves the needle more than a gel cleanser alone, right? So, that's my thought. We will recruit to the to a second round of the reset if you guys are on board for that.
Mhm.
Um, and the 4th of July holiday. So we have a couple of options, right? We can do it right after the 4th of July holiday, or we can do it more mid-month, like July 14. But I think like the 4th of July holiday is like, so the 4th is a Friday. So we probably people would be off Friday for that extra day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it would be like here's where it gets hairy. Do we end enrollment the week prior to the 4th of July, or do we give an extra week for people to enroll because we know they'll feel like crap after the 4th of July,
Ooh.
right?
Yeah, no, that's a good point because yeah, after
They
the fourth,
party all
people go
weekend,
hard. They go hard, hard, hard. So
which
yeah,
puts us
And
at
then a
more of
lot
a
of
July
people, they don't even come
14.
back until, like, a lot of people, they take that and they make it extra long, like a vacation. Like, I
that's
know my
what
Yeah.
we're doing.
parents
Yep,
do, Steve's dad does.
yep.
Yeah,
The 14th
yeah,
sounds better. I think so.
I agree. I
I could see
agree.
it both ways though, because people
Me
might
too.
be done with their vacation. And I think if people are making that vacation longer, they're doing it the first, second, third, fourth, fifth through that weekend, as opposed to going all through the second week of July.
Either way. Yeah, no, I think maybe you can take a poll on Tuesday, Cass, and see what people think.
Okay,
Or
I'll do
ask
that.
Jamie and see what she thinks. Jamie's got all the answers. Ask other people. I don't know. Get some opinions, I
Yeah,
guess. I could see it both
Okay.
ways too,
I can see
though.
it both ways too. Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
Because
chat
I
with our
would
director
totally
team
do it on
about
the
it.
7th. I would
I'm
totally do
so
it on the 7th. So,
yeah, I would too. And I'm due the 4th of July.
and you're gonna want to do that 3 days after?
Leo babies,
I don't,
Leo.
well, that's assuming I make it to the 4th of
I
July.
know, right? Okay.
I hope you have a July.
So maybe the 14th, just in cases. But okay, so yeah, so put that on your calendars. Plan on a mid-month extravaganza. My guess is that it's going to be um the second week of the month because the convention is the third week of the month. Um, Another thing that we're incorporating is guided work hours 4 times a week, every week through the month of June from the top leaders. So, what I want from everyone on the team is to at least put 2 a week on their calendar and commit to them so that we can be logging in as a team and doing these work hours. There will be some in the morning, some in the night, some in the afternoon, options for everyone. But I'm excited for that because I like to learn from other leaders too.
Me
So,
too.
I didn't commit to running anything this month, so I'm not helping to run the webinar and I'm not helping to run the power hours because I just don't know when this baby's coming and I want to really focus on pouring into the team and utilizing the resources also for qualifications and just, moving us forward. So, anyway, so that's that. It's 10:02, so I'm gonna stop the record.